Hello, world. I am struggling with sleeping tonight, so I have too many thoughts in my head. Couple of things. First of all, I haven't been feeling well, so I just want to say a quick shout out to everybody who is interacting still intellectually on my chat pages. I appreciate you, and I will get back to you. You know, I love interacting with all y'all. I love everybody's opinion. I welcome everybody's opinion. I encourage people to think for themselves, to think critically, to put themselves in the position as well as they can of other people and try to think things through. And so I definitely appreciate all of y'all, and I apologize I haven't gotten back to people in a couple of weeks. I haven't posted really anything either, but I just wanted to let everybody know that I see you and I will get back to you soon. I also want to say that I know I have at least one lawyer friend out there. I don't know if they'd consider me a friend, but I do. I enjoy our banter. Completely opposite opinion as me, but I appreciate their legal mind. And you know, I look at things totally differently too. As a sidebar here, I when I am looking into true crime cases, I don't want the sexiest narrative. I want the truth. So, and I don't want to be fooled, you know? I want to get all of the facts and I don't want any kind of edge put on them. So, from a legal standpoint and in a court of law, you know, things are different. When I speak and this person is innocent or this person is guilty, it's like I'm speaking factual innocence and factual guilt. And so it's an interesting philosophical waxing point for me to think about. I mean, I do obviously, because at the other side of it, I am thinking about wrongfully convicted also, and I have a strong desire to ensure that people are not wrongfully imprisoned. And there's the big famous case in Idaho right now, which I'm not going to get into in this one, but that one was what I was stuck on before I got into the Karen Reed case. And so I honestly had no intention of watching the Karen Reed case, but there was crickets in Idaho, and so I just kind of almost begrudgingly came over here. So, I am after truth and justice, and I understand that as far as the legal world is concerned, there are different bars for that, right? So like in the civil lawsuit, it's 51-49%. You really are presented with a set of facts from the plaintiff and a set of facts from the defendant. And basically, if you're 51% sure that the plaintiff is correct, the plaintiff wins. It's a very, very low bar compared to criminal court, which is the highest bar, which it should be because people's lives are in danger, right? So we don't want to give the government the power to just be throwing people in prison and killing people haphazardly and this whole corruption idea. I mean, this is the whole philosophical conversations that I love to be having. Okay. So like I could wax poetically about this for hours, but, I just want to, you know, I don't know facts. Like I've looked up, I think that they have 3 years in Massachusetts to file the civil lawsuit, which is why I think the timing is right now because of the hung jury and then the appeals, or the appeal to the motion to dismiss, and then obviously the defense is going to appeal that decision, and on and on. So I don't know. So I'm going to be throwing out some legal questions. So if y'all know the answers, hit me up in chat and let me know, because I feel like I know some, but I'm not 100% sure. And plus there's different laws in different states. So it's always just slightly different. Like Idaho is crazy, and the crap that's going on in Indiana right now, like we're not even allowed to watch the court proceedings. I mean, I don't understand this whole constitution that we're not abiding by, and it's just allowed to happen. The public has a right to see court proceedings. So unless this is like CIA operative shit that we're not supposed to know about, which would never be in a public court anyway, it would be in a black hole somewhere. Like, I don't understand that. So maybe somebody can help me with that. I don't understand how that court can literally not allow people in on what's happening in that courtroom. Like, there's no press allowed. There's nobody allowed in there, including any of the family members on either side of this. It's just crazy to me. I don't understand that. So, civilly, I think that it really boils down to the timing that everybody is, making their opinions, opining about, is simply that they just need to get it in under the wire here. And obviously they were going to file a civil suit. I mean, I don't think that was a question in anybody's mind. So they have to file, and they either do it now or in 6 months. And it's the criminal court case isn't going to be really probably anywhere different. I doubt it would be over. I don't know. I don't know how long the appeals process takes. I don't know, because like in Idaho, I don't know if when they kick it up to the Supreme Court for the appeal, my lawyer friends, I can't remember the term. There was a term in Idaho where when they kicked it up to the Supreme Court, the state court had zero jurisdiction while it was sitting in the Supreme Court level at the appeal. So they couldn't have any hearings or anything. Like the judge, the prosecutor, the district attorney, nobody had any power at the state level while it was in the Supreme Court in Idaho. And they had to wait for that decision to come back until once that decision came back, then the jurisdiction went back to the state court, which I don't think I've ever seen that before, but I don't know the last actual full trial that I was this engrossed in either. So I don't know if that's normal or if that's an Idaho thing. I think Idaho has got some crazy shit going on. So I don't know. So that's a question. In Massachusetts, do they have to wait for this appeal decision? And do they get some sort of special treatment as far as quickness, because the case is on the docket now again in January? Isn't it January, I think, is when it's supposed to go back to trial, if I'm remembering correctly. But then at the same time, this defendant is running around living her best life. So I feel like people that, and this is just a guess on my part, I feel like the Supreme Court would not be putting people that are out on bond above people that are imprisoned. Am I right? I don't know. I mean, that's what common sense, what I would think should be the case. People that are literally losing life and liberty should probably take precedence over people who are out on bond, free in the free world. So, there's another question for you. So can they have hearings while it's at the Supreme Court? And also, can they start the next trial before the Supreme Court makes a decision. Seems unlikely. I mean, if they're waiting to find out if they're dropping charges, I feel like that would be a pretty important factor on how they're going to try the case. So anyway, okay, so let's get into this. Some of this is, I feel like I just need to like get it out of my head because I literally can't sleep. And it's like all of these thoughts. I feel so much empathy for this family, and I don't know. I'm gonna try to get through this. I have just so many different thoughts going on because I just feel like the healing process is so far from their grasp still, and it's just hard. It's just hard to watch all this unravel. I want to hug them all and help them in some way, but hopefully maybe they'll hear my voice on the airways one night when they can't sleep, and maybe I'll put a smile on their face. That would make me happy. But so timing, that's what I was gonna say. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna follow along here because I I'm wired and wiped. My W squared. My WW. My W2. So I'm really kind of goofy right now because I haven't slept yet, and I have all of these emotions about this, and I'm trying to think of it unemotionally from a legal standpoint. So there's just so much happening in my brain and my body. Okay, so let's see here.
The two Canton bar. So this was first broken, I'm going to say probably by Christina Rex, then next by NBC Boston Ted Daniel, who also tweeted about this as well. We're going to get into the lawsuit. We're going to get into what exactly he's claiming. So essentially, this is for the emotional and physical injuries that he has suffered / the family has suffered because of Karen Read's negligence. So I find this timing interesting, and there's a lot of speculation as to why now. A lot of people said it was a long time coming. Some people expected this to happen last year. Other people are saying this is the ultimate grift, and of course he would be doing it now. I personally am not surprised about the civil suit. However, I was really thinking they were going to wait until after the retrial, but now I'm kind of inclined to believe the reason why they are moving forward so quickly with the civil lawsuit right now is because they're seeing the door, or the window of opportunity rather, closing in more and more, and maybe they know something that we don't know, the public doesn't know about what's happening.
Okay, so this is something I really like Alexa's room's spirit, but I think that she is being misled very, 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 very strongly. And so that's why I'm listening to her again. I have tried to contact her, but she just ignores me, so I'm not really sure why. But I'm going to try to see if she'll have a conversation with me because though I am not an attorney and I am not a detective, I do have a lot of life experience, and if I'm wrong on certain things, please do correct me. Those of you that are lawyers and detectives and know better than me, or even have a different perspective, I appreciate all of y'all. But this is the kind of thing that I wanted to start a channel for, was to help correct some of these mistruths, to put lies in a very light way. I mean, people are straight up lying to people on these YouTube streets, and I know that a lot of people are hesitant to believe that, and it's going to be hard because I don't know, it's going to be years of battles, and there's going to be a lot of things that are going to come to light, and it's going to be, it's like an interesting social experiment because I just don't know how many of these people that have been engrossed in this way of thinking for so long. They've literally been being spoon-fed false information straight from Karen and Turtle Boy through all of these other intermediaries that come in all different shapes and sizes, so that there's one that fits everybody, so that you can say, oh, I don't follow Turtle Boy, he's gross, so no. And whatever, like, there'll always be excuses. And so I don't know if once the facts are found, if people are even going to accept that, or if they're just going to say that's bullshit and she shouldn't be convicted and now she's wrongfully imprisoned. I mean, this whole thing. So I'm hoping that there are some open minds out there that will at least start to try to think of things differently, because if you are so dead set on believing that Karen is innocent and you are not even going to listen to other people outside of an echo chamber and here's what I would encourage all Americans and people of all ethnicities to do, okay? And I meant ethnicities meaning other countries. I just keep saying in America, but really, I mean, this is a global thing, okay? Like, we're all on this earth, so it doesn't matter what country we're in. We all need to help each other. And so with the rise of social media and all of this, it's really scary what's happening to people, and the interdependency, codependency, and the ridiculous things that people will do with regard to mob mentality and under the veil of anonymity, and that they wouldn't do. And then the interpersonal skills of normal communication just isn't there. I mean, kids are texting their parents. You know, they're not sitting down to dinners anymore. Everybody's on their phone all the time. Nobody's having conversations when they go out on dates or having friends over. You know, like, I have rules when I have, like, game nights and friends over and fires and stuff. Like, phones are put away. Unless you have an emergency and you need to have it on, like, phones are not out. So, you know, these are the kinds of values that I think that we really need to think about. You know, and obviously I control what I want in my life as you control what you want in your life. But I think that people need to start looking intrinsically at these decisions and thinking about them. I think that what I'm seeing, there's a lot of things that I'm seeing that scare the crap out of me. And one of those things is literally, I mean, I feel like I'm in a psyop. Like, I feel like people are becoming computers. They're not thinking for themselves. They're not using their critical thinking skills. They just make a decision and they refuse to speak to anybody who disagrees with them, or refuse to actually hear what other people say. They might listen, they might hear the words coming out of your mouth, but they're not really trying to digest it and understand what it is where you're coming from and why you feel so strongly in what you feel so strongly about. And when you live in an echo chamber, to me, it is a red flag for fear. And what I have kind of come to the conclusion of with all of this is that it is cult-like. It is very much cult-like. And I want to just drop the like. It is cult thinking. Because people are becoming programmed into belief. And I'm not saying this is a broad stroke, but I'm seeing this happen among our younger generations as a general, you know, overlay in comparison to when I was a child. Okay. So, like, just the way that we are brought up and the values that we have and things, but the idea of, and of course we all have our own personalities too, right? A lot of us are outgoing, some of us are less more I forgot the word, starts with an I, less outgoing, introverted. There we go. This is my brain at 4 o'clock in the morning. But, you know, I'm a tomboy. I'm a risk taker. I'm a push the rules. I'm a scribble outside the lines. I'm an artist. I'm a creative. I'm an empath. I'm also very philosophical. I'm an intellectual. Love, I just love deep spiritual conversations. I mean, I crave this kind of stuff. So when I start like going in, and so when I find that I'm starting to lean a certain way on something very controversial, I absolutely need to crave hearing the other different perspectives, and especially those that contradict mine completely, because I want to test where I'm at. Like, is my conviction really, really strong? Because if I'm not going to test my conviction, if I just am like, okay, yep, she's innocent, this is corruption, we need corruption to stop, there's corruption in Massachusetts, and therefore Karen Reed is innocent, and we're going to just do all this crazy shit and disregard anything else, disregard facts that have been proven in a court of law, disregard any kind of intellectual point that other people make, and then just turn around and call people names and put them down and whatever. Like, all this stuff is just insanity to me. So this is what I'm saying about the echo chamber problem, is that I want y'all to ask yourselves, if you refuse to listen to other people and you find yourself like absolutely not like you're not going to even hear the other side out, I encourage people to look at why. Because to me, that's fear. Why do I not want to look at the other side of something? I mean, honestly, that's a hard question for me to answer, because for me as an individual person, as far back as I can remember, I have been a very philosophical minded child. I mean, I was questioning why I was who I was when I was like 5 years old. I mean, it's insane. So my brain is just probably not similar to a lot of you. There's probably not a lot of people that can say that they were having philosophical conversations with themselves when they were 5 years old about the meaning of life. I don't know where that comes from, but that's just something that's been part of my old soul, I guess. But anyway, I'm digressing, see. So I've totally forgot any kind of point I was trying to make here. Oh, the whole echo chamber thing. I just want to try to get people interacting again. Like, I want to encourage people. And this is why I think that I'm hoping, for the most part, that this is just a lot of grifting, because, I mean, I know who's grifting. I know for a fact who many of the players are, but when people, like, I don't think Alexa's grifting. I don't think that she doesn't believe the things that she's saying. I think that she believes the things that she's saying. So therefore, it makes me wonder why you, Alexa, if you hear this, don't interact with me when I reach out to you. And, won't even so much as comment back on a comment that I leave on your page. It's just very strange to me. So because I don't know. Anyway, I mean, I'm just curious what the reasoning is what I'm saying, because it makes me just wonder is this a true belief, or is this I'm building up my channel kind of thing? And I don't know. I mean, I am not here for that at all. I obviously would love for people to engage with me on here, and with I mean, I would love to have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people interacting on here, because I think that this would be a very safe, open place for us to engage and appreciate each individual person for their own beautiful individual selves. And yeah, I'm a passionate person, so here's the thing. I have a mouth of a sailor, but the heart of Mother Teresa. When I get going, I'm surprised I haven't really been bringing out my F-bombs, but I'm trying to stay more in my left brain and less in my emotions right now. So I think that's why, because when I really when I'm really in my passion, my emotions, my sailor mouth comes out quite a bit. So it's not disrespectful. I don't mean it to be disrespectful, and so I hope I don't turn people away. I hope that doesn't deter you from engaging on my channel, because it's just unapologetically me, and I fucking love swearing, so I'm gonna fucking swear a lot. That's just how I am. And I'm very respectful of other people and their individual selves, and I'm not gonna swear at you. I like my F words, all right? So anyway, all of that said, let's see where I'm at here.
Actually going on behind the scenes, not only with the federal investigation, which allegedly there's some more bombshells that are going to be dropping, I don't know, in the months to come. That's what's been swirling.
Okay, so some of this, what I wanted to ask was about the discovery, wondering, to my lawyers out there or people in the know about the discovery process from the civil suit to the criminal suit. Now, there's so much going on behind the scenes in this case. I mean, there's so many layers of shit. And like I've said many, many times, there is corruption. There's lots of corruption happening. But it's coming on the side of the defense, along with the state's attorney. And potentially, I don't know if the feds are aware or if they just, like, went in, did this investigation, didn't find shit, and left. Because I don't know that I can feel like, I've heard people make claims that the feds are part of this, in on this with Adam Levy. I don't know how. It's obviously a political favor of some sort, but where I stand right now is I don't think that FBI agents that investigated this were necessarily understanding even really why they were investigating it. Maybe they were told that there was corruption and they were going to go in and investigate it for that. I don't know. But okay, so first of all, I'll come back to the civil lawsuit in a second here. The feds are done, Alexa, and to all of you that don't believe that the feds are done, you need to do a little research into how the feds operate. When the feds investigate something, they don't come out and announce shit unless they're going to start banging down doors and arresting people. They are done investigating. When they gave those 3,000 and some pages over to the Commonwealth and Karen Reed's defense teams, that was their report. That was their investigation. That is how they got Proctor's text messages. That is the only thing that they got. That was the only thing that Karen Reed's defense team got to be able to use in this whole stupid conspiracy thing that they've cooked up. That's it. There's no conspiracy to frame Karen Reed. And I implore people to sit down and clear their mind and think about why all of these people would be conspiring to frame Karen Reed. Like, literally, think about this. Y'all see the Robert Tellis trial going on right now, and it's literally the same thing. This man is literally using Karen Reed's defense, but because he is not a pretty woman with boobies and some high-priced attorneys, everybody is calling him crazy. He's literally claiming the same shit that Karen is claiming. Everybody around him is lying. Everybody around him is trying to frame him, little old him. They're trying to frame him. All of these other entities and all of these other players and all of these other bad actors that are in the government, they're all working together to frame little old Robert Tellis. Okay. Everybody's scoffing. He's ridiculous. We all know it. Well, guess what? Those of us that see what's happening, Karen Reed's had a lot of people working for her, a lot of people, and a lot of connections that we haven't quite figured out yet. Like, I haven't figured out, and the people that I know that know people that are looking into it don't know why, how she got these favors. But there's some shenanigans going on. Robert Tellis, if he, had a good grifting team and he had 2 years to build up all these lies and twist shit and put it out there, who knows? Because that's what Karen Reed did. It's called innocence fraud. Please research it. Okay, so feds are done. The feds are not going to interrupt at all. The only thing, I hope that the feds are doing an investigation into the defense, actually. That's my hope. I hope that they are now investigating the people that told them that they should investigate this in the first place, because they're the corrupt fuckers. And that's where the focus should be. So that's my opinion. But as far as, Jen McCabe and the Alberts and all these other people getting arrested, how many years are you going to allow these people to tell you that the feds are coming? The feds are coming. The feds are coming. They're going to bust in. They're going to start arresting people. They're going to start. How long are you going to allow these people to sell you that bill of goods and you accept it? They have been telling you all that for years now. Like a year and a half, I think. They're not coming. Karen Reed is the one that's guilty. And all of these depositions that are going to need to be taken for the civil lawsuit are going to benefit the Commonwealth. Now, again, that goes back. I don't know if they're going to be able to use that discovery. This is where I don't know if they can. I feel like they can. I know that the Supreme Court has ruled that that's not a Sixth Amendment violation of getting a fair trial. Like, you can use discovery found in a civil lawsuit in the criminal case, but I'm feeling like they're probably just filing and then it's going to basically be on pause, or they can, I don't know. They're not going to be able to get a deposition from Karen Reed is the bottom line, because she can plead the fifth. She's obviously still under criminal charges right now, so she could incriminate herself. And so I don't think that she can be forced to take a deposition at this point. So I think it basically has to get paused, because she's obviously not going to do a deposition for a civil lawsuit before she gets her criminal retrial. The other thing I was going to say was the whole civil rights violation. I think also, and I don't know what's going on with Proctor, if anybody can tell me if he's filing, like, I think that he should be filing a lawsuit that his civil rights were violated, because I don't know what probable cause they had to be getting his phone information, like his personal phone information. I would like to understand how they can just demand that they get his cell phone on his personal cell. Like, what was their probable cause for that? What probable cause did they have to be able to get his personal cell phone records? I don't understand that. But yet, what? We can't get Karen Reed's father on the stand? Help me understand that. And again, I'm going to just reference, look up Alan Jackson's MO, modus operandi. I can't say it right now. It's too late. Basically, mode of operation. Look up his MO. Okay? This is what the man does. He gets people's cell phones so that he can basically blackmail them, or that's not the right word, but, you know, basically make them feel really shitty about really embarrassing stuff that they have on their phone, and then they drop the charges because they don't want the whole world to know their personal secrets. Okay, so I don't understand how that, I feel like Michael Proctor's civil rights were violated. So if Michael Proctor or anybody that cares about him happens to hear my voice, let me know if that's something that he's pursuing or can pursue, because I'm curious. Anyway, so jumping back to the deposition, it's only the timing. That's why they have to pull the trigger now on it before they lose their opportunity. As far as and correct me if I'm wrong, my legal-minded peeps out there, they will basically put it on pause until the criminal trial goes and she's, in my very strong opinion, convicted, and then she'll have to do her deposition. And she has to do a deposition, mind you. Like, she can't not do a deposition in a civil case, and she will lose the civil case. Like, there's no question about that. It's very clear. They need 51% assurity that she's the person that did this. So it's barely, I mean, it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she did it. That's okay. Like, you can have that kind of mentality, and then the plaintiff wins. It's not a difficult thing. So, not to say that it's going to be easy, because there's so much shit, you know? It's like, this is going to go on for years. These poor people, I mean, it's just disgusting. But no, they're not going to get any information that's going to help Karen Reed, you know, convict Jen McCabe, who is a completely innocent mother, stand-up citizen. I just kind of can't. Okay, let's keep going.
Around the rumor mill, but again, they're only rumors until indictments start dropping left and right. We're not going to report on speculation. We're going to report on fact and fact only, or what is being reported and what seems to be factual. However, I'm inclined to believe that they're not seeing a lot of hope for this retrial. Maybe it's not going to happen, or maybe they're not going to be able to pursue the counts 1 and 3 charges after this appeal process.
I'm going to just very clearly state that I completely, vehemently disagree with you on that. This is why I keep saying you're being misled by so many people, and it's sad, because I think the younger generations are being introduced to the legal system in a way, especially if this is the first real case that y'all have followed. It's like you're being completely gaslit through this whole thing. I mean, Alan Jackson and everybody involved, Turtle Boy, Karen Reed, they're all master gaslighters. And it's sad, because it's not going to happen.
Goes through, because as you know, Judge Bebb denied the motion to dismiss count 1 and 3, and Karen Reed's team is of course going to appeal this decision. That is going to probably take a little bit of time. Granted, we are not on the docket to go to court again until January 27th, for the retrial. So maybe this is a way of them trying to cut their losses. I don't know. Some people are saying this is the ultimate grift, and of course it's Paul who's doing it. And I don't know, what say you? But let's go through this article and let's go through the actual lawsuit, some of the allegations that are being made. I think it could be...
I have to say that that's disgusting. See, this is the part of me that it really hurts my heart to think about how mindlessly people are throwing the O'Keefe family under the bus like this. Like, you think that Paul O'Keefe is grifting off of his brother's death? This is not about money. The thing with the civil lawsuits, ask Nicole Brown Simpson, ask Maya Kowalski, ask Those are two of the bigger ones that I can think of off the top of my head. When people take civil lawsuits, oh, Petito, okay, the laundries. Gabby Petito's family made it very, very clear that it was not about money. But the only kind of accountability they were going to ever be able to have a chance at was going to be in the civil case. Now, they did end up settling, though they kept telling all of us that wasn't the point, that wasn't the point. And obviously, I completely 1,000% believe them. I know that it was never about the money. But you get to a point where you're literally spending so much money to keep the civil lawsuit going for what? Your damages are going to be monetary. And typically, you want to be able to get an actual person to take accountability for their actions so that other people think twice before they do some stupid shit like that, you know? That's a sad case too. I mean, the whole thing. Her parents, man, I gotta say, wow, those are some human beings that the entire world can look to for guidance on grace. And honestly, so are the O'Keeffes. They have been so graceful in all of this. And I'm trying to stay out of my emotions. But man, Karen Reed has terrorized this family. And she continues to do it. They probably would have never filed a civil lawsuit against her or the bars if she would have just taken accountability. I think that they had to include the bars because more than likely the lawyers that are going to take up the civil case need to be paid. And bars have lawsuits. I mean, that's just part of owning a bar. So that's probably was part of the deal when the attorneys took this case on, was like, obviously we need to be able to tap into that insurance money and, you know, get paid for the work we do. But they're not suing for money. And in fact, I highly doubt Karen Reed will ever pay the O'Keefe family a single red cent because, I mean, I'm going to try to hold my tongue, but I cannot see that woman ever paying a single red cent to that family. O.J. Simpson, you know, never paid a single red cent to Nicole Brown Simpson's, and he had money. But there's ways around that shit, and people, you know, but it was about getting the accountability, making the person that was responsible take ownership, even in their sociopathic, narcissistic minds, that they still feel like they're the victim, you know. But then that's ultimately, I've never gone through this, but my mind tells me that would be a very a beginning of the healing process. Take accountability, and like all of this can end, Karen. Just fucking take accountability. That's all that I think the O'Keeffes ever wanted. I mean, I'm sure that they wanted to punch you in the face at some point. I would if it was my brother or my son. But, you know, you get to the point where acceptance is the answer to all of our problems. And so this has happened. And the only thing that I can do now is keep moving forward. And, you know, I can't base my ability to move forward on you taking accountability for your actions, but we're human beings, and that's kind of the way that, you know, that's the kind of morals and ethics that we're supposed to have instilled in us as human beings. But certain people with certain personality disorders and mental disabilities and things are not able to do that, and therefore, you know, it's just like forgiveness. We don't forgive for them, we forgive for ourselves so that we can heal from the hurt. And so it's again, I'm waxing philosophical on that, but okay, let's keep going.
Interesting, because as we know, in following these cases, following these trials, a lot more can come into discovery in a civil suit than in a criminal trial. So I'm excited to see this. I think this is actually a great opportunity for Team Karen Read to get even more into discovery.
I really am going to be so curious. I know that this is going to be a lengthy process, so I imagine it's going to be a couple years at least until people are made aware of what comes out in discovery in the civil lawsuit. But I'm really curious to see what the people that are so strongly believe that she's factually innocent are going to have to say when that discovery comes out. Because no, it is not discovery that's going to help Karen Read. It is not. Same thing with Turtle Boy's case. And if that man does not get some kind of legal accountability, then it is the biggest red flag of red flags that that fucker is being protected too, because yeah, that discovery. See, and this is another legal question I asked in one of my previous videos, is like, okay, so what about the discovery? Like, there's so much information that I think that should be allowed into this trial that would help jurors understand what the fuck is going on and what all these different things are that they're alluding to, but they're not being told, and they're feeling like something's fishy, but they don't understand why, and all this stuff. It's like, all that stuff should be able to be brought in. But again, it can be twisted both ways. So it's like, once Turtle Boy is, see, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they separate the cases as far as like, well, is this too prejudiced? Well, it's directly responsible for why we're in this shit show in the first place. So I don't understand how all of that evidence of his communications with Karen Read and the whole pushing out of this innocence fraud bullshit, how that's not relevant to this case. Like, help me understand that, legal minds, because I don't understand why that discovery from Turtle Boy's case is not allowed in Karen Read's case, so that the jurors understand why Jen McCabe is so defensive and comes across as unlikable, because she has been fucking terrorized for the last year and a half in every possible way, in every facet of her life. And for what? Because she is a state's witness in a murder trial of the girlfriend of her friend, this girlfriend killed Jen McCabe's friend. But, you know, they spread all this nonsense and made her life a living hell, and all of her family members and all of her friends' lives living hell. And none of that can be, I don't understand why that's not relevant. It would help the jury understand why these poor people are like, oh my God.
This will be in front of a totally brand new judge in a civil court. I don't know in terms of like whether it'll be open to the press or not. Regardless, we'll be reporting on it as that process continues. But this broke earlier today. This was literally filed this morning. John O'Keefe's brother, Paul O'Keefe, files wrongful death lawsuit against Karen Read in 2 Canton bars. The brother of Officer John O'Keefe has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Karen Read and the 2 bars in Canton, Massachusetts that were among the last places O'Keefe was seen alive. The civil suit was filed Friday. So it was actually filed Friday, but we didn't get news of this until this morning, which again was ironic because we didn't hear from Bev until later in the afternoon on Friday about the motion to dismiss count 1 and 3, because she's always got to leave us on a cliffhanger going into the weekend, right, folks? It was filed Friday in Plymouth Superior Court by Paul O'Keefe on behalf of his family and his brother's estate against Read, the Waterfall Bar and Grill, and C.F. McCarthy's. In addition to wrongful death, it alleges negligent infliction of emotional distress. I mean, obviously, you lost your sibling, you lost your brother. I can't imagine what that feeling is like. I'm not going to pretend that I know. So I can understand that. But it's like, are you pulling the metaphorical trigger a little bit too soon? I don't know. It is not unexpected.
What do you mean by that, Alexa's room? what do you mean by are they pulling the trigger too soon? They have been dealing with the death of their loved one for 2 years now. And they have to file a civil case within the next year. I don't know where we're at exactly on the months. Okay, but we're right somewhere 2.5 years. They don't have much longer. So if you're talking about like filing the lawsuit, no, they're not filing it too soon. They've waited almost as long as they can. I mean, they can file up until the last day if legally, but I mean, let's just get the show on the road. I'm sure their lawyers made that decision just to get started. I don't know if they can do depositions now, but or like, what do you mean pulling the trigger on their emotional hardship? Like, this is what I'm talking about. This is one of the things that scares me, is that I really encourage everybody to think about, okay, you feel so strongly that Karen Read did not do this, but you are slinging mud at John O'Keefe's family. And we do it so nicely, right? Like, oh, I don't mean to put down their family, but what the hell are they doing this for? And where do they get off doing this? But I mean, I don't know what that feels like, but they're clearly wrong. They're clearly wrong about how their loved one died. They don't know anything. I know way more than they know about how their loved one died. Me, a total stranger who doesn't know any of the parties involved and who haven't been able to see any of the actual behind the scenes things that have gone on that are kept out of the courtroom. That's ridiculous. Okay? Think about, what if you're wrong? What if you are wrong? How will that make you feel? I hope that makes people reflect a little bit longer on how they approach this type of commentary. Like, I just don't get it.
To me, given the sort of the posture, I guess this is a typo, sort of posture of the O'Keefe family, Catherine Loftus of Note My Objection podcast said of the 22-page lawsuit, I guess we're quoting podcasters now, legal experts tell us a civil case comes with different rules, with a different burden of proof. Yeah, just like I was saying, there's a lot more that can come into play here, whereas opposed to the criminal trial and the criminal case, there's a lot more restrictions as to what can come in, etc. In a civil case, it's what we call a preponderance of the evidence. So it's 49 to 51% more likely than not that someone is responsible for the death, Loftus said. As an example, the civil suit alleges Reed said this to O'Keefe's niece in the hours before O'Keefe's body was found. JJ never came home. Maybe I did something. Maybe a snowplow hit him. Maybe I had hit him. Maybe I hit him. We were in an argument. Maybe he got hit by a snowplow. NBC 10 Boston legal analyst Michael Coyne says this also sets up a big choice for Reed. If she testifies in the civil suit, which is, I mean, I don't know how likely or unlikely that is. I would assume so. The chances are more likely than not. It could be used against her in her criminal case. If she doesn't, it could play a big factor in her civil suit. It really creates a catch-22 for her, he said. The exercise of that right raises the presumption that the answer would be harmful, and juries will take that in a civil suit legitimately. So essentially what they're saying, from my understanding, is whatever goes on in the civil case, if this happens before the retrial in January, and unless for some reason that gets pushed off even further into the future, which is always possible. I mean, we've seen what's going on with Coburger in that case. I mean, that's...
No, I think and I'm kind of falling asleep here now, but I think that what you just read is the burden of proof, not the discovery stuff. So what I think that the document is talking about there is, because if you get convicted in a criminal court, there's no way you're not going to be held liable in a civil lawsuit. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody out there, I cannot imagine that somebody that's been sued in the aftermath of a conviction of a criminal charge has not been held responsible civilly if that suit was filed, is my point. Like, if that civil suit is filed, they're like, it's a guarantee, I think, that you're going to be held accountable in the civil lawsuit. However, it doesn't always work the other way around. So if you are not convicted in a criminal suit, you aren't necessarily going to get convicted on a civil suit, but the burden of proof is so much lesser, where it's like, I'm going to present my facts as the plaintiff, the defense is going to present their facts, and the jury or the court decides which is more believable. It's literally, well, I believe this literally 1% more than I believe that story. This story makes more sense to me than that story. And so I think that also, more likely than not, this is why civil lawsuits usually come after, because especially in cases that they aren't held accountable criminally, it's the only recourse for any kind of accountability that the family of the victim can have to, again, begin starting to heal and holding somebody accountable in some way, finding justice for their loved one. So, again, I think that they're going to just put this on pause. I don't think they're going to be able to do much with it, because obviously her attorneys are not going to allow her to be depoed before she has a outcome in her criminal trial.
Case that just keeps on adding more and more time. So we won't be in trial for that until next year, but anything is possible. But they can use essentially whatever is said, whatever is documented in this case, in this trial for that, for the criminal case later on. These legal experts also say that the criminal prosecutors will be watching this closely. So yeah, maybe Lally will actually learn how to question somebody to see if anything new comes out ahead of Reed's second criminal.
Just a quick side note on that. And Lally takes a lot of shit for that, but go watch some other trials. When you're a prosecutor, you don't have a lot of ways that you can ask that question. You can't lead. So what, if anything, did this person say to you? Meaning, if this person said something to you, what did they say? You're not assuming that this person said something. That's why it's what, if anything. Because if you say, what did they say to you? Then you're already assuming that they said something to you. That's why they use that phrase. So you could reword that a little bit, but I mean, you're kind of stuck with, well, if you know, did this person do X, Y, or Z? If you are aware, what did that person have to drink that night? Da da da. Okay, so like, you're limited. I mean, yes, you could change it up a little bit, but again, poor Lally's doing the work of 15 frickin' lawyers, and I'm sure he's not too fucking concerned about thinking about creative ways to ask what, if anything. And y'all can fucking deal with it, because that's how he's got to ask it. So get over it. That's how the prosecution has to word shit. Like, you just need, this is one of the things that it's like, I'm literally just trying to help you understand that is how the prosecution needs to ask a question in a court of law. I'm not, downfalling or blaming you for not knowing that, but I'm wondering if people will accept that and be like, oh, okay, well, that's cool then. I'm not going to make fun of them for that anymore. I don't know, like, whatever. Not like Lally gives a shit who's making fun of them, but I'm just saying. I don't want to keep talking. We haven't even gotten into this very much, but there were a couple things I wanted to talk about before I close this out. Couple things about drinking, okay? Now, I am an alcoholic in recovery. I've been in recovery for 19 years. And let me tell you, I was a party fucking animal. I was a fun drunk. Like, I was myself, but just 1,000 times crazier, which is pretty difficult already. But I should have been dead 15 times over. So when I say I was fun drunk, like, yes, I was a fun drunk, like, meaning I wasn't an angry drunk, but I put myself in harm's way a lot and put other people in harm's way a lot, because I did drink and drive. And I'm so very blessed to have not hurt anybody in that process. I mean, it was bad. I was a blackout drinker, which, just a quick little class on alcohol here. Blackout doesn't mean that you're passed out. It means that the person doesn't remember. Literally, it's like you lose that whole part. For me, and some of my friends that had blackouts every once in a while would like just lose partial bits and pieces of their night. Like I was a blackout drinker. I am like a hardcore alcoholic. Like there's no bones about it. And I was a blackout alcoholic. So I would be a completely functional person. I mean, you can talk to any one of my friends that knew me when I was drinking, and they'll tell you, like, I would be having very philosophical conversations with my friends and, like, shooting stick and totally functioning and just totally my normal self. And then all of a sudden it would just hit me, and I would just be like, at some point when it hit me, then I would eventually either fall asleep or just really slow down. But the whole blackout part was for hours and hours and hours. And it fluctuated because when a person is an alcoholic, they have a much higher tolerance. So I could drink my guy friends literally under the table. And I'm a small person. I'm like 5'3", 310 pounds. And I could outdrink many of my guy friends. But then it would fluctuate as a lot of alcoholics go through. They experience different tolerances. And yeah, I had health issues too, and a lot of stomach issues. And so, I mean, it hits you differently. But people with a high, like, there was one time I was taken to jail, and I was so, like, I don't even remember all of the questioning for hours at the jail. But when I was gonna go talk to the judge the next morning, they had to keep getting breathalyzers, giving me breathalyzers, because I had to get down to a certain level before I could even go see the judge. And the next morning, after I'd been in jail for like overnight, I was at like a 0.3. Like I was what normally would be somebody's dead. But my tolerance, because I was an alcoholic, my body can tolerate it. It's kind of like, I don't know a lot about diabetes, but I think it's something like that, where like your sugar levels are different because of that. It's the same kind of concept. So I'm not here to diagnose. I would never diagnose anybody with alcoholism. That's everybody's own thing. I know for me, I'm an alcoholic, and I can only share my experience. But what I will say is that all this talk about how Karen didn't seem drunk and to me, I don't know what that, they're the people that think that she's innocent are trying to use that as like proof of something. The woman was on tape getting shots and dumping them into her glass that she brought. I mean, this is the kind of shit I did when I drank. Like, before I sobered up, I would pregame, first of all. I mean, I would never go to a bar completely sober, because I was a bartender too. So let me tell you, that's a great profession for a bartender, because I could just drink all night, for free. Plus all the bartenders and all the bars and all, wherever my buddies hung out. I mean, like, I never had to pay for drinks. And so it's a great job as an alcoholic, unless you want to like actually survive life. But so not appearing drunk is not proof of not being drunk. She had a blood draw. She was very much legally drunk the next day. And yes, she could have drank at home, whatever. But there's video evidence of her drinking. Now, the other part about the bar liability is that as a bartender, we have to take classes and know, basically in a non-alcoholic person, body weight, mass, even gender affects how our bodies process alcohol. And that's not a sexist statement. Our bodies literally process alcohol differently. I'm assuming it's hormonal, testosterone, and all that good stuff. So, but you have to take classes and know that, like, you know, this is about if you've got a 110-pound woman and, you know, she's slamming 7 drinks in an hour and a half, her blood alcohol level is going to be well over the legal limit, okay? Well over the legal limit. Now, if she doesn't appear drunk, she might be she might be a she might have, I don't know what I'm trying to say, or it's the middle of the night, I'm trying to say, she might have a problem. She might be an alcoholic. I don't even like saying that statement, so that's why I was trying to avoid saying that out loud, but, so anyway, that's I think where this whole legality of the bars and stuff. But again, being a bartender and working in a bar, it's not reasonable to, like, no. I mean, you're serving so many people and it's busy as shit. And I mean, you can't know. And especially when you have multiple bartenders on, which I would assume that those bars did on a weekend, you know, you can't know how many drinks people have had. But at the same token, and I don't know anything about Karen's personal life and as far as if people knew her in bars there, but for example, with me, people knew me. I mean, first of all, I was a bartender, and typically when I was not bartending, we were at the bar. Like, my buddies liked hanging out at my bar that I worked at, so that's where we were. I mean, people knew I was an alcoholic. This was not a secret. So, you know, they knew how much I could drink, and there were times that baffled my boyfriend when my tolerance was in one of its flux states, and I was like, and I'd have like 2 drinks and be just completely bombed, and he's like, what the fuck? Because like normally I can drink 20 drinks and still be walking, talking, functional, right? So and friggin' shooting stick, beating everybody at the table. So anyway, the point is there too. I don't know if people knew that about her, because if you have regular bars that you go to, you know, people know you. I mean, as a bartender myself, I knew my customers. That's how bartenders are good bartenders. Like, I'd have drinks made for my regulars before they even got belly up to the bar, because, like, that's how bartenders operate, because that's how we make money. I mean, quite frankly, but it's fun too. Like, I loved being a bartender. So anyway, little fun facts about that. So that all plays into how the bar is accountable. And again, like, logically, that doesn't make sense for people to be held to that standard when you're in a busy bar and you're serving hundreds of people and, like, you're not counting everybody's drinks. But at the same time, like, that is the legal standard. And if somebody is overserved and they go out and get in a drunk driving accident and somebody dies, the bar often will be sued by somebody, you know, usually the victim's family, because they overserve. I mean, that's very, 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 very normal. So those were a couple things that I wanted to say about the drinking. Let me see. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say.
Trial, neither Reed nor the 2 bars named in the suit could be reached for comment Monday. I mean, without even reading this yet, because I haven't read the whole thing. I've only read bits and pieces of it, some quotes from it. It's 22 pages long. Again, we'll go through the whole thing. It's a pretty easy read. It's just, you know, line by line what they are alleging, outlining what the specific things that they're suing her for, etc. The 2 bars, how they're responsible, yada, yada, yada. I think they're ultimately going to get dropped from the civil suit, just because, I mean, at that point, then, okay, you got to depose the bartender again, right? And probably...
Who do you think is going to get dropped? You think the bars are going to get dropped from the lawsuit? Absolutely not. That's where where the attorneys are going to get paid from. Because, like I said, I highly doubt Karen Reed's going to be paying any money. She will likely be behind bars, and even if she's not going to have any money to pay them with. I don't know, unless she... I don't think Massachusetts has a law against her making money off of her crime. The Son of Sam law, is that what it's called? I think she can make money. I think she can do movie deals and shit. So, I mean, I don't know. I would assume that if she gets convicted, though, any money that she makes from that should go to the O'Keefes. But again, I'm sure there's lots of legal ways to go, put that money in somebody else's name. And I don't know how all that works, but I don't think that they have that law there, which is pretty shitty. They should have that law there.
I don't know, whatever manager was on site that night. I would imagine probably a lot of the same faces from the first trial would be deposed again for this lawsuit, but maybe even more of the employees, the staff, extracting the CCTV and going through that again and looking and seeing if there are actual receipts that we can pull that really do show, okay, this is the number of drinks that were served to her. But then the counter argument would be, how many drinks was everybody else being served? Was she actually overserved by these bars? And I just don't think
that's not a counter argument at all. That's like when you're a little child and you're doing something and your mom yells at you and you say, but my brother's doing it too. That doesn't negate your accountability for your actions at all. So that actually drives me crazy when people do that. Well, they're doing it too. I don't care. I'm talking to you right now. You don't need to worry about anybody but you right now, okay? So it doesn't matter what anybody else was doing in this particular situation. It matters why we're there, what we're there for. We're there because John O'Keefe is dead, and Karen Reed did that with her vehicle, and she did it after consuming alcoholic beverages, and so it only matters how many drinks she had for this reason.
There is any weight to that evidence, not at least that we've seen from a criminal level, but maybe more will come out in the civil suit. But I imagine that the owners of both the Waterfall and CF McCarthy's, since they aren't there, it's not like they're franchises. These are local hubs, local watering holes, as I gather. They got a reputation. They got a local reputation to protect. They're not like McDonald's. They're backed by billions and millions of dollars. So a lot of people are like, oh, they'll probably settle, yada, yada, yada.
No, but they do have bars, again, notoriously, I mean, they have to have this kind of insurance because this is not atypical. This is a very, like, if you're in the bar business, you can almost guarantee that you're going to see a lawsuit at some time. Almost guaranteed. I mean, this is part of the bar ownership business. So, again, they are probably only on the lawsuit because the attorneys probably said, we'll take the case, but only if we sue the bar too, because obviously Karen Reed is never going to pay anything, but we've got to make money. I mean, we can't work for free, so that's how they're going to get paid. So no, they're going to settle more than likely, because that's what insurance companies do. That's why they're there.
I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see how this goes down. So I want to now get into the suit.
Most black coffee has two ingredients you want, water and coffee beans. But they also have over 400 that you really
itself, and what exactly they're alleging here, what kind of emotional or physical distress specifically Karen Reed's negligence, as well as these bars that have been supposedly responsible for overserving, which is also interesting too, because it almost feels like they're kind of admitting that it was because she was overserved, whereas I feel like with trial, the whole theory during the entire trial was that it was leading up to that moment. Like John was pushing her buttons and they were arguing, and they got into a screaming fit in the car when they were waiting outside of 34 Fairview, and yeah, she had too much to drink too. So it's interesting because I feel like they didn't put a lot of weight on that.
There are, see, this is where I'm like, it's such a young, innocent mind, because no, my dear, it's everything. This is how typically, domestic violence and or domestic murders happen, is there's something that sparks off. A lot of times there are drugs or alcohol involved. Things get taken too far, and it's a crime of passion, right? Like that's what a lot of, that's kind of a different thing where they come home and see something and fuck you, and they like see red, but it's the same kind of concept. Like it's the preponderance of evidence. It's all of these things together. They all, we are all human beings, and we all have good and bad in us. And it is said that and believed that we are all capable of doing horrendous things given the right set of circumstances. I philosophically can understand that. I just don't think that all human beings are capable of murder and rape and, you know, like all of these really like fucked up things that people do. I can't quite get there, even like from a philosophical level, because I would rather just die myself than actually have to take somebody else's life. Like, I just would not. I can't imagine. I mean, I could imagine if I was protecting somebody that I loved. That would be the situation where I could see myself having to do that. And even in that situation, I would live with so much guilt afterwards, even knowing that if I hadn't done that, my loved one would have been dead. You know, like, it's still a mind fuck. So I can't really. But the whole thing is, yes, it was all of this stuff. And maybe, you know, I'm going to have to kind of pull things and figure out how to actually show things on my, on these streams so that I can pull up all of this stuff so that I can prove my points. Because, yes, Karen Reed and John O'Keefe were fighting all day that day. They went through all these text messages. He told her to leave. The kids testified that they didn't. John asked her to leave, told Karen that their relationship was over. This was before this night even happened. She was not invited out. She was not supposed to be there. Yes, when she got there, it was all smiles. Again, are you gonna just like be a total bitch in front of all of these people and put all of your friends and all these strangers through shit when you're having a domestic situation where you're like, oh my fucking God, like, I'm out with my buddies, now she's here. Like, again, I don't know John personally, but I can't imagine that he's the type of guy that's gonna throw a fit. Like, he's gonna fucking go along to get along to go along type of guy, I imagine. Okay, which is probably why she got pissed when she did drop him off at the Alberts that night, because he was probably like, okay, we're done. Go home. I'll find a ride. I don't want you at my house when I get home. And something to that effect is what I'm imagining. Because he was done with her. He was done with her, people. They had been fighting. And it blows my mind how many people don't see her for what she is. But I'm not even going to go into all that right now. But yeah, it was all this stuff, okay? And yeah, part of that was that she was drinking. She wasn't supposed... It's illegal to drink and drive. Now you can say, well, they were all drink driving. You're right. But again, we're not 5-year-olds in kindergarten class where we're throwing everybody else under the bus. We're not there because everybody else was drinking and driving. They didn't kill anybody with their vehicle that night. They didn't... This is the trial of Karen Reed. That is why we're here. So that is what we're focused on. There was all of these pieces. This isn't just a... I don't know. It's so silly to me. I just can't. But yes, it's a part of it.
Yes. During the actual trial, they put more weight on their relationship and trying to highlight how toxic it was between the two of them. So I don't think the suit in regards to the two bars is going to go far, but hey, let's go through this and let's see how we feel after this. So parties, jurisdiction. 1, the plaintiff, Paul O'Keefe. Paul is the surviving brother of the late John J. O'Keefe. The third, I didn't know he was a third. JJ, John, or decedent, and is the duly appointed personal representative of the estate of John Joseph O'Keefe III, who died on or about January 29, 2022. At all relevant times, material hereto, the decedent resided in Canton, Norfolk County, Massachusetts. At all relevant time, materials hereto, the plaintiff, Paul, resided in West Bridgewater, Plymouth County, Massachusetts. So I guess I'm assuming that's why he's filing there. The plaintiff, John O'Keefe, the second, so that's the father, I didn't know he was also John O'Keefe too. Did you guys know that? I didn't know he was also a John O'Keefe. Okay. The second is the surviving father of JJ and Kristen. At all relevant times, material here too. The plaintiff, John the second, resided at 1 Meadows Avenue, Canton, Norfolk County, Massachusetts. The plaintiff, Margaret O'Keefe. So they're going through everybody who is in this lawsuit. Margaret is the surviving. So this Peggy is the surviving mother of JJ and Kristen. I also feel like, and I don't want to be mean, right? I don't want to be mean. Like, I get it. I definitely sympathize with the fact that they lost a family member. They lost a son. They lost a brother. For many people, a close friend, an uncle, slash father figure as well too. So I really don't want to drag the family too much, but it just kind of gives me a little bit of the skeevies when they keep referring to Officer John O'Keefe as JJ, even with like these court filings. It just kind of gives me a little bit of that ick factor, like they're claiming him, and like nobody knows us, nobody knows him better than we do, and of course you're his family, of course you know him, but it just kind of gives me like that, almost like they're trying to distance like their family from everybody else, and almost kind of, I don't know, like.
Wow. This is giving me the skeevies. How dare they humanize their loved one? How dare they humanize him? How does that give you the skeevies, Alexa? Seriously, like, I really want to know why that gives you the skeevies. They're talking about their son and their brother and their funkle. They call him JJ. So that is what they're going to call him. They don't say, "Hi, Officer John O'Keefe," when he came home for family night supper. That's not how they refer to him. So they are not going to refer to him like that. They are going to refer to him, how they did in life. Because that is how they memorialize him. This is honestly like, this is freaking me out. See, this is the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, what is happening to our humanity and our society when the fact that a victim's family referring to them by their loving name gives people skeevies? Like, that's such a disconnect for me. I don't understand that. And I'm seriously curious why that makes you feel weird, that they're like, I don't know if you have a brother. I mean, it's just like, I don't, like, put yourself in that situation. Like, do you have a grandpa that was in the military and you're like, do you say, "Hi, Captain John Adams"? Like, or if, your dad is president, you think that you call him President Donald Trump, Joe Biden, President. Do you think people refer to him like that? That, like, when he comes home for supper? It's so weird to me. They are humanizing him. And I don't think that actually, I don't even know that that's a thought in their brain. I mean, that's just how they refer to him. Because they love him. I don't know. That's fucked up to me. This has gone on for a long time. I don't think I'm going to go through all this. But the other thing because I have listened to this from other, like, on court TV or wherever they went through it. And the other question I have is, for my legalese out there, legal eagles, why do you think that the nephew is not part of this? That's my question. Because I think my best interpretation of that is because he wasn't there that morning. And so I think that it has to do with, like, the emotional harm that was done to, like, his parents, going through the shock of getting the phone call and then going to the hospital and having to see him, and then thinking about how this happened and the fact that he was lying outside in the cold for hours and hours by himself, and now he has hypothermia, and I mean, all of that just, oh my God, it just makes me. So that, again, I'm trying to stay out of my emotions, and I'm going to finish this up, but my question is about why the nephew isn't included in this, and I'm thinking it's because he was not there, and I don't think that they can sue her for emotional harm just by the fact that he is passed. I think it has to go into how did you suffer, and do you have actual, like, do you have to go to a doctor now? Did you have physical ailments as a result, mental ailments, emotional ailments? So that is my best guess, but let me know, my legal minds out there that know, because I'm curious as to why that is. Made me think of something else too. Hold on a sec.
It's almost like an extra sympathy card. It just gives me a little bit of an ick factor. Not to be too picky over that, but I had said that too in my last video with his college buddy who allegedly was so close to him, yet didn't meet Karen Reed ever, even though they were dating for over 2 years. But it's just my...
Okay, so here's another thing too. And this is why I think, like, this is like life experience stuff. And again, we all live different lives. Some of us may, grow up in a certain area and live there our whole lives, and we stay in touch with the same people, and therefore everybody knows. I was not that person. I was a wild child. I graduated high school, went to college, ran away with a bad boy boyfriend, got into trouble, came back, blah, blah, blah. Like, I had all of these crazy life experiences. And so I got married late in life. So when my husband and I got married, I had friends from all of these different walks of life who had never met each other. And it was really cool because I'm like, okay, these are my really close friends from college. These are my really close friends from when I lived in this certain area. And these are my really close friends from this certain area. And it's like, it kind of really represented all of the generations of my life. And so, yeah, there were lots of people in my husband's family that I met at our wedding and vice versa, because we don't live near our family. So, I mean, even my immediate family, in a good year, we might see them twice a year. My mom and dad and brother and niece. Like, that's a good year because we live a long ways away from my family. And even when I lived like 5 hours away from them, I might see them 5 times a year because I worked 3 jobs and was in school full time. And, I was just always a very busy person. So, again, that's just different life experiences. So this whole like 6 degrees of separation of all this shit of like everybody knows everybody is bullshit to me for that reason, because, there's a lot of areas in this world, and I know that area is one of them where everybody does know people. Like, you can't be like, oh, I have heard of this family before, or my brother's sister's dog's nephew is related to their cousin, and therefore I need to not preside over this jury trial. Like, that's ridiculous. And then also this whole idea of like, I'm in a picture with somebody, so obviously I'm close friends with them. Even people that I was in sports with in high school, and I was in a small ass high school. I graduated with 98 people. And so I was on sports teams. That didn't mean that I was friends with everybody on my sports teams. Okay? So, yeah, we had all kinds of pictures of different events that I've been at and weddings that I've been at and other things. And people don't always know people. That doesn't, like, because my best friends might have only hung out with my husband, 5 times in 5 years, it doesn't mean that they're any... I might not hang out with I have lots of some of my closest friends in the whole world that I haven't seen in like 3 years, because life and shit happens. And we can't always... It's like, I don't have the ability to go just chill with my buddies like I did when I was in college and like just walk over to their place and, do what we did. I miss that every day still. I miss that. If you're in that time of your life right now, please value that. I didn't take it for granted then, but I still it's still a culture shock to me, and I've graduated long ago. I still miss being able to do that shit. But you just can't. Like, this life is different. So, no. Just because one of his best friends didn't meet Karen does not mean that he was any less of a best friend of John. he might have been sick. He might have lived in a different area. John obviously had a shit ton on his plate. I can't imagine that he had a ton of time to socialize when he was taking care of 2 young children as a single man, being a police officer, and in a serious relationship. Like, that's a lot on your plate. So this is not evidence of him not being a good friend. So these are the kind of things that I hope people stop and think about. And again, Alexa's room, I don't mean this rude, because I'm old. So when I say you're young, that's a compliment. You look young. And so I don't know where you're at in life and what kind of life experiences have you had. This is, just, I think some of this wisdom comes with just actually living longer, So I don't know if you've moved away or if it's shocking to me how many people don't think this stuff through a little bit, though. Like, well, you were in a picture at this person's wedding. Like, I don't understand. Have you never been to a friend's wedding where you knew, like, if you went to a good friend's wedding, did you know everybody? Because I guarantee you that you probably didn't know the spouse's family. like your friend's new spouse, that person's family, I'm pretty sure they would be strangers to you, but you're probably in lots of pictures with them. It blows my mind. So, no, that's not evidence of anything.
And I just feel like it's a weird thing to keep referring him to, especially specifically in a court document, right? Anyways, I digress.
And again, this is a civil case, so this is about, civil lawsuits are about humanity. This is where the accountability comes when you can't find justice in a criminal. Because in a criminal case, the bar is it's the highest in the land, right? Like we discussed earlier. So, there are lots of times that unfortunately shit happens. Top mom in Florida, that jury got it wrong. Juries do get it wrong sometimes, and nobody was held accountable in that case. And, it was her own daughter, so probably nobody was going to sue her unless her parents sued her. But, so anyway, civil lawsuits are about the human side of people. Like, this isn't about, like, jurisprudence and you've got to follow this and follow that. This is about, like, you fucking hurt me. You stole my best friend. You stole my husband. You stole my son. Anyway, I've talked long enough. I'm sure I'll be back one day soon. But please like, comment, share, subscribe. Try to help me grow my channel so that I can try to help in any small way that I can. Like, that's ultimately what I want to do. I'm hoping that this helps in some small way to the world, to the O'Keefes, to the Proctors, to the Alberts, to the McCabes, to Carrie Roberts, to the niece and nephew, just all of the victims, the community, people that are going to start having the veil lift a little bit. This is going to be a shock to those of you that start to realize that you have been bamboozled. And then we're going to have another conversation, because that's what I want you to think about next is, if you just divorce yourself from this completely, the people, the actors, this case, and just think about this with just totally different people that you don't know, you have no emotional attachment to, and you are sold this lie for this long, and then you realize that it was all a big fat lie. Like Scott Peterson, probably a lot of you younger generations don't even know what's going on with him right now. Like, this whole fucking thing, this is an innocence fraud campaign, okay? This is what this is, but this is how they usually work. They happen after conviction. And then it's about politics, money, and power, just like this is. Again, as far as I know, first pretrial and real-time innocence fraud campaign in America, maybe in the world, but that I know of. Anybody else knows of anything, please let me know, because this is the kind of shit we need to wake up to. But anyway, just thinking about the mentality of somebody that did do this and then did everything that I have told you that she has done afterwards. So we're going to take that little ride one of these days to just kind of try to take yourself out of all the emotion, but think about it maybe with more of the left analytical brain, and really giving yourself the opportunity to think about this divorced from emotion. I don't know. We'll see. I'm so tired right now, so I'm not making sense. But anyway, my phone is like full too, so I keep getting cut off. So I apologize I didn't get to spread my love and light in my last 2 videos because I actually kept talking and I was cut off. So I think I'm still recording right now. But if you've made it this far, thank you. Keep engaged, keep talking. I will respond. Hopefully I can do a live soon and we can have, my goal is to have open panels so that we can have in-person conversations. Gets exhausting typing the same thing over and over and over again, or saying the same thing over and over and over again. So it would be nice to just be able to have conversations with humans. So that's my goal. So hopefully I'll see you there. Open your minds, open our minds, spread love and light, fill the world with love and light. That is the meaning of life. And that is what we are here to do, to love and support one another. That is what life is about. Let's get our focus on what we should be focused on. Love and light. I love you all. Have a really great week. If I don't talk to you sooner, I may be back sooner than later. Let me know answers to all of my many questions that I ask too, because I need to have legal minds tell me the law on that stuff. So, all right. I love you all. Have a great week and hug everybody that you possibly can, whether you know them or not, without, creeping people out. But for real, smile at everybody you can and watch how that spreads. Just a simple smile goes a long way. Okay. Mwah. Love you all. Love and light. Talk soon.